All right, welcome back, and it's time that I want us now to look at the conversations around what different regions are looking for in the 2022 general election. Of course, coming together to come up with a joint approach to the general election. Let's listen to what leaders from the arid and semi-arid lands spoke about towards the end of last week.
Further, affirm as leaders of ASAL areas the embracing of a new model of compassionate leadership, or uongozi wa watu. Declare accordingly the formation of a political movement to be known as the UPIA movement. Proclaim that the UPIA movement will unite residents from ASAL areas to articulate a common political position and objectives for the 2022 elections, and more specifically, negotiate for greater socio-economic investments and developments in the region.
Tunaona kila kabila imeanza kujitenga. Sisi ni wafugaji. Hakuna mtu anataka sisi, tumeamua kwa President Uhuru kwa sababu ndio anatutaka. Sisi hatuna mambo mawili. Asante.
From Turkana to Lam, these are the brains of the ASAL community. So that direction, and I think this should come out, the direction we are asking our people and the direction we are taking is to support and to be part of the initiative by His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Right Honorable Amolo Odinga, and the OCA team.
Yule ambaye atakuwa flag bearer ya hii movement ni CS Ukur Yatani.
We support our President Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta and the political direction that's going to give to us. We support him. We support his alliance, and will fight for our fair share of our own voice over the resource of this country to benefit.
The people of the North have come together. We have decided we are going to be movers and shakers in the decision or the determination of the future of this country. We are no longer going to be passengers on other buses. We are going to be right there in the kitchen and on the table of the banquet.
We are not going to be passengers in other buses. We'll be right there on the table and in the kitchen. Honorable Dr. Kenan, because you're in that meeting, so what are you looking for in 2022 specifically that you say this is what the region wants, and as you negotiate for political coalitions or alliances, this is what we must get?
Yeah, thank you. I think first we need to familiarize ourselves with the history of this country. The making of the nation state of the Republic of Kenya was not a one-man or one community phenomenon. Before even the colonialists actually brought us together and drew our internationally recognized borders, we had regions, we had communities. Of course, there were movements. It's because of that reality that we were put together, and there must be something that all these communities must have been, must have had in common, whether it's land, whether it's some sort of movement, whether it's through marriage, whether it's through some sort of business, through barter trade. Once we found ourselves as part and parcel of the Republic of Kenya, we still retain our own unique ethnic identities. And that also informed the division of Kenya into further regions. If you look at the western component, if you look at the northern Kenya component, if you look at the central component, the way these regions actually were divided is, truth be said, is along tribal lines. If you look at again the politics from the colonial time to date, whatever we do, truth again be said, that there's a lot of regional dynamics or tribal dynamics in the politics. Sometimes we may use political parties just as a statutory instrument, as legal mechanism, vehicles, just to camouflage our ethnic diversity. This being the case, we the people of Northern Kenya, and I know this is one thing that you really want to hear. Over the years, I've been used, even where we occupy 70% of the lands of the Republic of Kenya. At certain stages, before 1991, we were treated as second-class citizens. And in fact, even more fundamentally, up to until the current constitution, we were treated as second-class citizens. That's why our people today say we got our independence with the current August 2010 constitution. So what have we done as part of our survival tactics is to identify ourselves with the leading groups, the leading individuals. That tag is what we are trying to shed off. That is why we have decided to come together. We have our diversity. The only region, and I say this again with the due respect to my friend, the SG for ODM, there are two regions that actually been used as, generally because of the clan dynamics, the Western Kenya and the pastoral community. And that is why even agreeing on a particular unifying platform for them has been very difficult. And this is a historical phenomenon. Divide and rule, that is what the British applied. Divide and rule, that's what the successive government applied. And today it's difficult for the entire Luhya nation just to come together and say, we will do this. So that's also been difficult even for the pastoralist community, even for the Somali community, let me say specific, to say that this is one common cause. Is that going to be the trend? Is that going to be business as usual? We are saying no, we have our own rights.
So how will you do this? Because
let me explain to you. You have asked me how we do it. We have already done it.
No,
how we are going to do this is this. We have identified our likely partners. I am the Jubilee Secretary for Parliamentary Activities. So I'm in Jubilee. I'm a Jubilee official. What I'm going to do, we have identified the other like-minded individuals who are also supporting that particular cause. We have the handshake. So what we have said is, and the group that came together, if you look at it, most of them are leaning towards President Uhuru Kenyatta and the handshake. And some representative actually from Oka. Because of the political realities of today, we say it's unfair just to sit and watch and allow our people to be blackmailed, to be coerced, and to be threatened to join certain political groupings without their interest. And this is what, so what, you see, there is a tag that has been created over the last few years, that the pastoral community is in the back of one person. The pastoral community, but no, we are saying we have also our rights, we have identified our friends, we know those like-minded individuals, and that is why we have identified President Uhuru Kenyatta, his handshake partner, the Right Honorable Amolo Odinga, and other elements. And this, by coming together under OPIA, what we are trying to say is this: we will not be divided anymore. We will go to that table where these big wigs are going to sit, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Right Honorable Amolo Odinga, and other like-minded, and say this is our irreducible demand as a pastoral community. And these things are known. So instead of treating us as look at the history. From Lamu all the way to Turkana, we have the same challenges. Insecurity, the issue of food scarcity, underdevelopment, unemployment, underemployment. We have so many challenges. Some of them are historical.
Right. And Dr. Kenan, we actually heard from Fatuma Dulo saying that one of the biggest challenges you're dealing with at the moment is the drought situation, saying that the president should declare it a national disaster. But we'll get back to that. Let's first listen to some leaders that spoke somewhere, I believe it was in Busia County over the weekend, and listen to what they have to say in as far as the focus for the Western region, what it should be come next year.
Sisi kwa sababu ya ile mchezo tulicheza 2013 tumekaa nje kwa baridi miaka 10. Saa hizi 2022 is a transition politics. Tukicheza tena tutakaa nje.
Niliambia baba awachane kubembeleza hawa kina Weta na Musalia. Wanja ika hapo, Oparanya ika hapo, Eugene Wamalwa ika hapo, Mwiza Kitui ika hapo, Mugali ika hapo, Osoti iko, anangoja nani? Aambie Otuoma isi, aambie sisi, tuanze kazi kama nataka.
Nyinyi watu wa Busia, nataka nyinyi muwe kwa ODM. Tunamheshimu kwa sababu hii miaka yote ODM hapa ni nyingi kabisa hata kuliko kwangu kule Kakamega. Lakini mimi nataka nifanye bidii nione Western mzima iko nyuma ya Raila Amolo.
Watu wanajaribu kutusukuma hapa na pale. Wengine wanaweka kwa newspapers na kwa mitandao kwamba imeamuriwa. Ndugu, it is not over until it is over. and it will be over baada ya Wakenya kupiga kura in 2022.
Na nyinyi kama jamii, anza kuwa na marafiki. Ukikutana na ndugu zetu hapa baharini, waambie wana deni letu. Mukikutana na wengine milimani, waambie wana deni letu. Na dawa ya deni ni?
This boy of ours, our son, he was in government for many years. He never stole a penny. We are selling to Kenyans a good product.
Naambiwe tena Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga kwamba Musalia Mudavadi njia yake hakuna reverse. Tumemwambia aende mbele mpaka kwa debe, si ndio?
All right, and of course, quite varied voices. Let me begin with you, SG Sifuna. You are the Secretary General of a national party that is ODM, so yes. Already we can tell where your voice would be. But if you look at the Western region, the various counties that are there, what is the biggest interest that they would have to forge together, and is it necessary to do it within one political formation, or the more the merrier?
No, I think the various clamors in the various regions for, you know, their interest to be front-loaded in any political negotiation is something that is understandable. What you need then, Sam, is somebody at a political party that can remember every day that they have many interests to take care of, that they have many children, that across the breadth of the country, everybody is desirous of being, you know, empowered in order to rise to the level of their greatest desires. So, unfortunately, you cannot run a country if your thinking does not go beyond your village. If you have never met somebody from Mandera or from Wajir, if you have never met Honorable Adan Kainan, because all you do is sit with bukusus and drink busas there at home, your relatives. You know, you have to have somebody who has a big thinking. We were hosting some leaders from Mandera and Marsabit just last week. And Jacob was taking them through everything that he did when he was Prime Minister, even envisaging the problem of infrastructure and solutions that he provided, including the road from Isiolo to Moyale, the development of the Lapset, you know, corridor project. It was meant to cure some of the problems that he's talking about. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about access to health, to security, you need solid infrastructure in these areas that have been traditionally marginalized so that you're able to bring them up. You need people who can foresee things like the equalization fund in the constitution and are desirous of even making sure that it is fully implemented, to extend even the lease of life of that fund so that our brothers in the ASAL areas that have been traditionally marginalized can also be brought up to the same standard of living as other Kenyans. So you need big thinkers, Sam. When I was speaking yesterday in church, the point I was trying to make is that when we were young, impressionable people, especially at the university in 2002, I voted for the first time in 2002, and I voted for Kibaki, knowing full well that he was not a Luhya. In fact, in my life, I've never voted for a Luhya candidate. The problem in Western is not that the clans or the tribes are not friendly to each other. No, we have a dearth of leadership because people in Western Kenya, we are very proud people, Mheshimiwa. Yesterday, I was telling people, we follow strength. We want people who have conviction. We want to see your history, the history you have of, you know, fighting for what is right, standing up for what is right. You are not just going to be followed by people because we were born with you. That is not something that is acceptable to our generation. So if we had solid leaders, you know, in the past we have had very solid community leaders, people like Masinde Muliro, who you knew that if you were going into a battle with Masinde Muliro, he was not going to run away in the middle of a battle and leave you there. This is the problem we have, and that is why Western Kenya has decided to develop a personal and direct relationship with Honorable Raila Odinga. We don't need anybody in the middle there. I was not introduced to Raila by Wetangula or by Mudavadi. No. I looked at the buffet of leaders that was available in 2001. I decided very soberly that this is the person that I'm going to follow. And if your sole criteria for the person you want to lead you is the blood that flows in his veins similar to yours, then you are lost. If the only criteria is this person from the same tribe as me, you are totally lost. So I am happy that in Western Kenya, we have made a conscious decision that we are going to follow strength, we are going to follow leadership. We want to see your history. Do you have a history of consistency? Have you ever fought for anything? Can you fight for us? Now, what are your thoughts? Do you think big, or you just sing about your village every day?
Okay.
Do you know the problems of the people in Mandera, Marsabit, Lamu? Or you just revolve around your village at funerals and then you want to be presidential candidate?
SG Sifuna, I don't know who you're referring to, because I think the two clips that I played of the people that are jumping...
They were at a funeral in their village.
Just hold on.
In their villages.
Then the other person is Musalia Mudavadi. Yesterday he was in Nyandarua. I don't know who you're referring to. But let's listen to what some leaders allied to the UDA party. They're from the Mount Kenya region. They met in Laikipia. And this is what they said are their resolutions as they approach the 2022 general election.
As the leaders from Mount Kenya want to be at the forefront in the championing a new Kenya where political competition will not be based on regional, ethnic, or sectarian parties, but on a national platform that embraces inclusivity of all Kenyans and one that elevates issues above ethnicity, personalities, all other selfish considerations.
We have consciously and deliberately decided to be the generation of Mount Kenya leaders that changed the political foundation of Kenya, breaking free from the servitude of personality cults, ethnic mobilization.
We have since engaged experts at different levels, and we have come up with an economic blueprint upon which we want to prosecute our political engagement with our candidate of choice going into the next general election.
But at the bottom of it, in the process of engagement before the signing of the charter, there will be an ingredient on the implementers and the guarantors who will assure that this region's priorities will be honored and taken care of.
All right, the leaders from sections of Mount Kenya, and of course allied to the Deputy President, they met in Laikipia and gave that a statement. But Honorable Maori, of course, I don't know what your position is on what they said, but you do not agree with the politics of the Deputy President, at least on record. That's what has come on the show. Yeah. But as you move ahead, how is that region of, is it 10 or 11? 11 if you have to include Nairobi County. I don't know why it's part of Mount Kenya, but let's talk about the 10. What is the focus of that region? Is it anything united or different voices at different corners for the greater good of the region?
I think the leaders who met in Laikipia, I would only describe them as political clowns.
Why so?
Because a clown will live a lie, talk a lie, and believe a lie. These people have been with the Deputy President since 2017 when he helped them get into those positions when they did not deserve it through the flawed nominations of 2017, April. Now, when they entered into office, their main obsession has been acquire for 2022 and above. They have never concentrated in the government where the Deputy President is a deputy leader or deputy president, party leader and deputy president. They have never concentrated on actually delivering those things they are saying now. They are saying things they don't believe in. They don't know it. They think people are fools. Nobody will believe them. The reason being, if you find whereby, if you hang on members of parliament, 70% of them actually usually are chased away in every election in the last 50 years. So when these people are following you around, you think you have a vote. You have nothing. That's first point. Second, the concentration has actually been about Mount Kenya. The things they say about sectarian, about inclusivity, about personality, look at what Oscar Sudi says about the president and his family. Look at what they have been talking about, even the Senator Murkomen and the rest. The kind of things they have been saying neutralizes the tales they are talking about in Laikipia. A charter. Who would believe a charter whereby you are supposed to behave as a deputy or a principal assistant to the president, and you cannot believe it? It is in the constitution. You don't believe that. And then these people, they think a charter which they have done in a hotel, anybody can believe it. It is not possible.
So Honorable Maure, your side of politics, what's your plan for Mount Kenya region?
No, our plan is we need to know our main agenda, where the handshake has helped Mount Kenya region in the last 4 years. Is the president to achieve his legacy? 1. 2, the issue of the BBI. We wanted the BBI to help Mount Kenya more than any other region through the denied over the years or in historical injustice about the representation and about resources. If you look at what happened with the BBI and the counties around Mount Kenya, what we have lost in the stored BBI is 53.4 billion between those 11 counties. If you go to every one of them, actually one of the biggest losers is Kiambu with 9.4 billion. Second is Nakuru with 10.5 billion. Meru is losing 6.7 billion. Now, when we are losing like that, the deputy president comes and says God has helped Kenya and Mount Kenya to lose that money, and you have clowns cheering it.
Wait a minute.
Who do they
are
tell
losing
their story?
Those figures wrong?
No. In the BBI, if you look at what every county was gaining and losing, in the enhanced...
Because of the increment to 35%?
Yes, because of the increment of 35% and the 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote issue. Because like today now...
But is it fair to blame them and the deputy president knowing that he's not the cause for the failure of BBI?
No. They have been very excited about the loss in the BBI.
Celebrating.
They have celebrated, and people know they financed even the loss in a way.
I don't know about that, and I don't know how they have any evidence of that, but the Kenyan knows that the High Court nullified the BBI process.
What I'm trying to explain to you from day one, who was in High Court?
Can I help?
Yes, but I really need that help. But who financed the lawsuit? Who went and celebrated and even invoked the name of God, that how God has helped Kenya by the loss of BBI? Yeah. It was not the BBI losing, it is Mount Kenya losing in the representation, about nearly 31 parliamentary seats. Also lost in the resources, I've told you about 53.4 billion. Now, when you lose and somebody comes and doesn't sympathize with you, and then you see clowns celebrating him, they are going to face the voters.
Maure, the BBI laws was more a question of law than politics.
I'm trying to tell you who went to court. I agree with you.
Politically, but I also want
to clarify. Who went to court? Who financed those lawsuits?
Who did? You tell us. Who financed them?
No, they are listed there. The petitioners.
The petitioners are known.
None of them can even pay their own rent. None of them can pay their own rent. Everybody knows that.
So who financed them?
They were financed by the office that is celebrating and invoking the name of God.
Yes, the High Court did not move itself.
Yes.
There are people who actually petition. One of the leading petitioners was David Ndii, who now is...
even that Kidiki was there.
Yes, he's
even Karua was
Ruto's strategist now. And you say it was more legal than politics. I think it was 100% politics. And we wish that people would understand. I have seen some arguing and newspapers saying, oh, this loss was a big loss for Raila. Then I asked myself, it is not Raila. Raila did not lose anything in these manenos. Ask Honorable Kainan if the people of Northeastern are happy that now this extension of the equalization fund for 20 years is no longer on the table. Ask the women of this country if they are happy that the proposals that they gave in terms of gender equity and representation have now been shelved, whether they are happy, the constituencies that they are going to get in order to achieve proper representation. People are not happy. I mean, the money that was going to the wards, the ward fund for the Article 43 rights, if you ask the people in the villages there whether there is anything to celebrate, then really they will tell you no. So, and the point we need to make is that I can comfort my brother here and his people in the mountain and even in the ASAL areas. This conversation is not going to go away, Sam. Just because the High Court said you did it unprocedurally does not mean that the conversation or the desire of Kenyan women, for instance, for gender equity is going to stop. Even as we speak, week right now, they are still petitioning us, especially us who are political party leaders, to ask us, now we had hope in this BBI thing. What are you going to do for us in order for us women to also have equal opportunity to be elected? These conversations are ongoing. You can see the hue and cry about university fees, the question of help, how can we strengthen the question of repayment of debt. The young people are still looking for those things. So this is why my party leader was saying yesterday that in fact reggae has not stopped. And we wish, by the way, this thing had been left to the Kenyans for them to decide themselves as opposed to the courts. But I think out of respect for the judges, we have accepted and we have left that conversation aside. We will revisit it at some day, some later day.
All right. Yeah. Dr. Kenan, because when you listen to, I've just sampled a few, the arid and semi-arid lands of northern Kenya, if I may use that term, western region, but also Mount Kenya region. You told me that you're associating with the ideals of President Kenyatta, his relationship, the handshake with the Raila Odinga, but also to an extent of the One Kenya Alliance. But I'm just wondering, what are the specifics that you're saying that for the many counties in the region, if you talk about the northeastern, if you talk about Marsabit, the pastoral counties of Samburu and the like, what is this specific thing that you're looking for in any alliance for next year beyond positioning yourselves politically?
I think that's a good question. First, let's not be carried away by the demerits and merits of the politics of the BBI court cases. I know that's an emotive one, and people have different interpretations of what that particular document of actually PBI entailed, because there's a lot of propaganda. Actually, different components of that particular document actually were given different interpretations, different meaning to suit other imagined political interest. That's notwithstanding. And I always say that that particular document was a man-made document. It was not 100% perfect. A man-made document that has a provision for correction, for amendment, for deletion. And that is the essence of actually constitutional making process. I know quite a number of people have ravished that particular document. But if you look at even the issue of revenue allocation, it's not even the regions Maura is alluding to. Most regions, most counties, even from the pastoralist community, except one or two, are also gaining. Equally, that particular document was also ring-fencing the benefits, the gains of devolution. Of course, there were discussions on how to go about the issue of representation and the route to use, whether it is going to be an IEBC function or whether the provision and the schedule are going to be the guiding principles. Equally, we, as you said, what is there in that particular grouping? What is there in that particular grouping? First, I think you need to understand is, what is politics? Why are people in politics? Politics is about access to power and get to power through elections, isn't it? Through popular votes. That being the case, we as political practitioners representing communities must always be alive of the realities of the politics of this country. And that's why we are saying we have by choice. The way I like the way the SG of ODM actually has put it. He did not seek anybody's authority to assess Raila Amolo Odinga. And therefore, regardless of where he comes from.
Dr. Kenan, you've not answered my question.
I'm coming, yes.
I wanted to be specific on, yes, you said capturing political power, fine. But what else do you want to achieve in the next dispensation for that region, so that in another 5 or 10 years' time, you're no longer talking about being marginalized or being left behind or suffering the ills of independent Kenya?
You know, maybe the answer you're expecting and the answer I have might be slightly different. But let me say this clearly. First, at this stage where we are, we are looking for an individual or groupings who are out or who are ready to ring-fence the benefits, the gains of devolution. That's first. And the issue of marginalization right now might even be perceptual, by the way, because once that is done and devolution is properly implemented, there is accountability, there is transparency, and now the funds are again utilized, then that issue of marginalization will not be there. Two, we are also looking at individuals who will unite the country, because that's the essence, because we have one entity to call Kenya. Equally, this issue of balkanization, this issue of invoking ethnic-driven hate campaigns is not going to add any value actually to the well-being of the people of Kenya, and by extension, the well-being of the people of northern Kenya. So the issue of security, the issue of national unity, the issue of implementation of constitutional order, the issue of reducing tribalism and regionalism is so dear to us because we have suffered through this because of the divide and rule that we have seen. That's why in northern Kenya, you hear a lot of clan issues, you hear a lot of, some of them are historical and they have been left. So what we are saying right now is we have had an opportunity to interrogate the policies of the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. We know they are so friendly to the pastoralist communities. We have had an opportunity also to interrogate the policies of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, and President Uhuru Kenyatta has done so much actually for the pastoralist community. Look at even the composition of the government. Look at the kind of projects that were implemented. What we are saying is whoever is going to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta must be a person who is going to continue with that legacy. That legacy includes national unity. That legacy includes opening up the whole region. Look at Lapset, all the way, whoever thought, Lapset all the way from Lamu to Marsabit. Look at the road all the way from Isiolo to Marsabit, Moyale to Ethiopia. The road right now from Isiolo all the way, Wajir, Mandera, Garissa. It has started. The road all the way from Garissa through Modogashe, Wajir. What we are trying to find is, and Rome was not built in a day, is a continuation of the same people-friendly policies. That is why we are saying proudly, we will not wait for President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga to decide for us. We want to be with them at the table, where these decisions are going to be made, and say, look, I'll take you back to one thing that happened before the countdown to the current constitution. We're in Naivasha. I'm sure, I don't know where at that particular stage, there was serious confusion. Certain groupings wanted a pure parliamentary system, and that is where my friend and the party. Other groups from Mount Kenya, where I was also a member, because I was a PNU member at that particular time, wanted also a pure presidential system. How the issue of devolution actually was, came up is because other people said, yes, you are fighting for power, we may not have the numbers. Can we have an inclusion of devolution, allocation of resources to the counties? And that is what informed the inclusion of devolution in that particular, this August 2010 constitution. Today, if you ask the people of Mount Kenya, the people of Northern Kenya, they will tell you, we got our independence with the current constitution, simply because they have got more resources at their disposal, which they have never had in all the previous governments.
Right.
So this is one thing that we also want to reinforce.
Okay, all right, I want us to listen to something more, but before I do so, those asking questions, we invited Senator Isaac Mwaura, who affiliates with the Deputy President, confirmed, then cancelled. We invited former Deputy Governor of Nairobi County, that is Jonathan Mweke, confirmed, but didn't show up this morning. It's important to put that on record, but also to listen to what some leaders who met in Makueni County sometime last week, and they're also talking about kuungana or uniting ahead of 2022.
Tuko katika wakati wa kutafutana wale wanataka kesho kujitoa na kuendeleza nchi yetu kwa njia bora. Nikiwa na Bwana Spika, nikiwa na Martha Karua, nikiwa na Mukisa, tukiwa na wengine, safari imeanza.
Nataka kusema na wenzangu hapa, tutaungana kuona ya kwamba tumechangia kuletea Kenya uongozi bora.
Kutakuwa na rais mmoja tu. Tutaendelea kujitafutia, lakini lazima tujenge nguzo mpaka wakati mmoja, bila kuwekwa kwa rumu na kuelezwa mkitoka hapa mseme mmefuata huyu. Tutaamua wenyewe kwa ustaarabu wetu ni nani atakuwa primus inter pares, first among equals.
Hatutaki watu waketi kwa boardroom pahali ati waseme tunawekelea nyinyi mkono. Hakuna mkono ya Mungu na wa Kenya.
All right, of course, different leaders there, Kivutha Kibwana, Martha Karua, Mukisa Kitui, and National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi talking about uniting to forge ahead, to capture power, but also bringing different ideas together. And Honorable Maore, when you reflect on this, because You hear the UPIA movement coming together to align themselves with the ideals of President Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Of course, there may be other political persuasions in the region. SG Sifuna talks about dealing with the region and ensuring that they're able to forge ahead to support Raila Odinga and the ODM, but there are other political persuasions. And of course, Mount Kenya, that you do not agree with the UDA prescription for the region. So what do we do for a country that, yes, will be treated to politics and the campaigns of 2022, but what do we do to ensure that the ideals and the desires of these regions are assured, regardless of who wins power? I
think we are also getting marginalized. When the UPIA team was meeting, simultaneously also we were meeting at the Meru team, meeting the partner of the handshake, Raila Odinga. And our main issue was actually the issue we were discussing is what we might need as a community as well, the Meru, in that table, because we are not very small as well. And in the process, the deliberations that came out is that we might need to meet him one of these days and ask him what he has for us. And that's what we were doing. We had a deliberation. He is coming to the ground. When he comes there, we will meet him and ask him what he has for us. Because he has been partners and talking and most likely negotiating with the president, who has been very close to us in the 2 elections, actually 3 of them. We voted for him. So when he did the handshake with Raila, there has been signs that he wouldn't trust him and not the other partners in when he leaves power, August next year. Now, what you have seen there in Makueni, the 4 leaders meeting, I think you have not seen the passion. You know, there's why you have the passion for the job. You have not seen any of them with that actually passion looking like he really wants to lead. They are just saying, let us also, using the one, let us also seek this thing. Because they have had other people are looking for it.
The late Senator Kajwang once said, who has the passionometer to measure?
No, you could see their faces and their demeanor and their content of what they said, by the way. None of them has emerged saying, oh, I have this vision for the country. They are just saying we are teaming up also to look for this thing called the presidency. They have said it themselves, not me. And in the process, they have lost the steam, even before they start. Because when you have this Oka, and then you have this other team with the deputy president and the team led by Raila, so these ones are appearing like the fourth.
But Honorable Mora, you're so good at poking holes at what they are doing, other people are doing or saying. But I'm asking you a simple question. Like, for instance, let me narrow it down to your county, Meru.
Yes.
What do you want whoever political candidate, presidential candidate comes to your area, what do you want them to do for your area?
Meru is an agricultural county, or counties, including Nithi, Tharaka Nithi. And what we look for is somebody who will sustain our infrastructure for our agricultural produce to reach the market. What we will look for is, for example, somebody who would be passionate about our crop, Mira. There has been having challenges in Europe and everywhere in Somalia. Secondly, the issue of now representation in that table as you are talking about, whereby we have under our partners in the Mount Kenya West, throughout the history, they have not, we have been with them. And there was an attempt in the last 4 months for people to bring a wedge between the Mount Kenya East and West. And that one was purely divisive so that somebody can come and now take Mount Kenya East. That one, God has been there. Now we are talking of the real God, not the God of the Yawale Wengine. He has actually removed that craving for somebody to split Mount Kenya East and West so he can come and get the votes. So we are going to go together with the Mount Kenya West as joined what you call the Mount Kenya counties, 11 of them, no, 10 of them. Leave alone Nairobi, we have just a half of it. So when that happens, the issue we are looking for in the table is that inclusion. We don't want to miss out when the government is being formed, whether it is up in the cabinet or whether it is up in any other departments of government. That is what we are looking for. And that is why we were discussing it with Raila. We have seen what he has done. And there are things that you cannot ignore. In 2002, it is the whole country rallied behind Kibaki. He had tried many times. And all these times he had tried, it was not working because that was not the right time. The right time was 2002. The same thing has happened to Raila. He has tried all these times, you are mocking him, but this is the time when he looks like a safe pair of hands for very many people in this country.
All right, very interesting.